The music for the Tom Retro Chronicle for this episode is provided by Loveshadow with her song called Almost Given Up. If you want to check out more PodSafe music, check out dig.ccmixter.org. I repeat, that is dig.ccmixter.org. 1, 2, 3, action! Welcome to the Tom Retro Chronicle.
The Tom Retro Chronicle with Tom Retro. Looking good, baby.
The Tom Retro Chronicle is basically a podcast that talks about music, sports, movies, and even some news coverage, as well as some great interviews. Like me, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah! So let's get to our host of the Tom Retro Chronicle. Here is the man, Tom Retro. And welcome to the new and improved Tom Retro Chronicle. The now reincarnated version of what was once called the Darth Retro Podcast is now called the Tom Retro Chronicle, or as I will probably call it from probably now on, probably just the Chronicle, excuse me. But it's definitely going to be back in the podcasting world. This is probably most likely going to be the first episode 1 of this new and improved podcast. So it's been a couple weeks. It's been about 15 days since I did a podcast on a October day like this. It's currently pretty much almost a quarter before 2 o'clock here in Fargo, North Dakota. It's kind of a cloudy, chilly day here in the old Fargo, North Dakota. So what am I gonna exactly be talking about on this episode of the podcast? Well, good question. I will be talking about some of the reasons why I decided to take about over a 15 day layoff, or vacation, I suppose. But then I'll talk about some World Series action that's gonna be coming up later tonight. It's Game 1 of the World Series against the San Francisco Giants and the Detroit Tigers, and that game will be starting up at around 6 o'clock or so, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock or something like that. So, as well as some NFL picks for it's week 8 of the NFL season. So we'll be talking about those as well. And so let's get started on this first episode of the Tom Retro Chronicle with me, your host, Tom Retro. And the first topic of this new and improved Tom Retro Chronicle was the reason why I decided to take a 15-day vacation. And basically, there was a few reasons why I decided to take a vacation. One, I decided on thinking about a new title for the podcast, and basically over that 15-day period, I decided to decide on a DJ name as well, so which was, in case of those of you who are Facebook friends with me, I decided to change my DJ name to Tom Retro. And partly the reason why I decided to do that was because the whole Darth Retro thing didn't seem that right to me, because I don't really need, the last thing I need is copyright infringement on thyself, and when I thought of the name Tom Retro, I was like, oh, I mean Tom Retro Kid, which was my DJ name my last year as a KMSE DJ, which was my senior year. That was my fourth year, and anyway. So I decided to go with the name Tom Retro, and basically I thought about some ways to make it more unique of a podcast, of a podcast title. So I thought maybe the Tom Retro Show, and I thought it kind of seems a little bit more of a more common cliche to say show, and then you have like a word like report, which I'm a big Bill Simmons fan, and it just felt like I would be copying what Bill would be having on his podcast. So the word Chronicle came up, and I thought, oh, that's really kind of unique, because I'm more of a history guy, and I usually kind of like to chronicle things in my life, and days and weeks or years of my life. So it kind of somehow worked out for the better, I think. So somehow or another, the whole the Tom Retro Chronicle idea pretty much came up, and I pretty much have stuck with that idea since about late last week, I suppose. But another reason why was, I like constructive criticism. I prefer it over destructive or anything of that like. But I got a comment on one of the episode pages of the episode videos of the Darth Retro podcast, and basically said that the whole intro thing was kind of starting to get a little bit boring, and I needed to find something else to get more attention to listeners. So that was partly another reason why. And another reason why was I've been dealing with kind of a little bit some emotional distress, especially on the Tuesday October 9th. I don't really exactly want to talk about it all that much, but for some of those who probably might know me pretty good, but for those who probably know me pretty good, you can probably guess what it was. So I kind of dealt with something about me liking a girl, and pretty much getting the whole I don't know how you say it, but I basically got the whole "I don't like you" kind of that way kind of speech. So I'm better. I feel better than I was 15 days ago, but I still comes back to me a little bit sometimes, but I'm not too worried about it that much. But so partly another reason why was I thought the whole name of the Darth Retro podcast was just kind of it just kind of seemed to me more of a temporary title before I could really think of something else. I believe I mentioned that somewhere in the first few episodes of the Darth Retro podcast. So I think the title of the Tom Retro Chronicle sounds pretty good, right? And also another reason why it is my show, and I decide what I want to do with it. And basically, no one else can dictate what I want to do with this show. I mean, you can still provide me constructive criticism, but I ultimately have the final word on what gets played or what gets not. So anyway, let's get on to the next topic. So game one, So, Game 1 of the World Series is on tonight on your local Fox station. Barry Zito will be pitching for the Giants, and Justin Verlander will be pitching for the Detroit Tigers. So, what I'd kind of like to talk about first was my take on the whole. I think the last time I did this podcast, the Yankees were somehow still in it, and somehow or another, the Yankees were basically pretty much on a tailspin to a dismal playoffs. So, in terms of that, in terms of being a Red Sox fan, I'm pretty overjoyed by it, because Yankee fans have been pretty much rambling on and on and on how we were having such a terrible season, and now it's basically us that we can have the last laugh, so to speak. Anyway, pretty much done talking about that. I believe I mentioned somewhere in the podcast, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the last podcast episode of the Darth Retro podcast, that I had picked the Giants and the Tigers to meet in the World Series. So I get bonus points for that. So for getting that right, oddly enough. And I believe I picked the Tigers to go for 7 games, which, to believe it or not, it might actually turn into a 7-game series classic. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to be like the 1991 World Series or the 1975 World Series or anything of that that has been featured for 7 games. But I believe this World Series will get to a 7-game series, just like last year's, between the Rangers and the Cardinals, of course. But I think when you really think about it, you could tell that both teams had pretty similar statistics in terms of hitting, pitching, base running, and fielding, or managing. When I was doing research, because I decided to do a little bit of a preview of the World Series for my WordPress account, which is darthretro.wordpress.com. I suggest you should follow me if you have a WordPress account. Anyway, when I did research on it, and basically when you really look at it, the whole two teams looked very, very, very much similar to each other. And what really blew my mind was, in terms of hitting, the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, had a .001 better batting average than the Tigers did. Now, I'm not much in terms of baseball stats. I'm pretty much kind of a average junkie towards baseball stats, but that stat alone kind of blew my mind. It certainly blew my mind about what kind of hitting the two teams had in terms of batting average. Which, if that was that much of a difference, I'd never thought of it anyway like that. But anyway, in terms of 7-game series, I think the Tigers will eventually win. And just note to self, the National League won the All-Star game this past July. And basically, according to the rules, the winner of that All-Star game will have home field advantage in the World Series, which which basically is games 1 and 2. And then games 3, 4, 5 will be in Detroit, and 6 and 7 will be back in San Francisco, if that is necessary, of course. But I don't know. I think in terms of looking for an early advantage, I think the Tigers have a little bit of a better advantage of taking this series less than 7 games. But I mean, if the Tigers can steal one away in San Francisco, they can basically win the whole thing in Detroit. So in 4 games there. So in 3 games, excuse me. But I don't know. It can seem. I mean, looking back into last year's World Series, I basically had the Cardinals at 7, which when you really think about it all that much, I mean, after Game 5 of last year's World Series, I thought the Cardinals were pretty much dead meat. I thought they were done for. I thought basically nothing good could come out of this Cardinals team, and basically Albert Pujols, who had a pretty good game in was it Game 3 or something like that? I think it was Game 3, and basically hit those 4 homers and such. And then after that game, he basically did nothing to help his team out. But somehow or another, despite the fact that the Cardinals had plenty of errors, as well as the Rangers, basically the whole game was a slugfest to the end. And somehow or another, fate turned against the Rangers, who were basically 1 strike away from winning it all. And basically we wouldn't even be having this conversation at all. But so the Cardinals win Game 6 and force a Game 7 in St. Louis. And then the Cardinals basically won the whole thing in 7 games, which I thought, boy, that was such a lucky guess, because I thought the Cardinals were dead and buried after Game 5. And along with the errors that the Cardinals were having, there was no way in heck that they could have come back from that. No way, Jose. But somehow or another, the Cardinals are like the Jason Voorhees of baseball. They just never die. That stroke of luck kind of somehow ended basically last Friday, when Barry Zito went to the mound on Game 5, being down 3-1 in the game deficit in the National League Championship Series. And then basically after Game 5, the Giants won the whole shebang and basically go back to the World Series and for the second time in 3 years. So and the Tigers. What can I say about this team? They didn't seem like the great team of the regular season, which, I mean, basically for that team, they're not really built to play all that well in the regular season. I mean, once the Tigers got into postseason play, that's all they pretty much needed. They just needed to get into the postseason and prove themselves well, and basically play well. They pitched well. They hit well, and basically this is where they are at right now. And so, in terms of Giants, I mean they are absolutely warriors. I mean, Buster Posey. Buster Posey is easily one of the best catchers in the majors right now. I mean, he has to be. He has to be one of the best battery mates that there is, and easily the National League. But you can make a case for any American League catcher. You could probably think of Russell Martin for the Yankees, or trying to think of who else. But I'm trying to think of someone else, but anyway, I think it should be a pretty good series. I think the Tigers will win it all in 7 games, but I wouldn't hold my breath to see if the Giants take the series to 7 games. It really looks like a really good matchup, and hopefully you will like it too, and hopefully it will be a good series, and best of luck to both teams. So let's get on to the next topic. So we're now into week 8 of the NFL season, and I'm doing these picks a little bit early, mostly because of basically of tomorrow's Thursday night football game with the Buccaneers and the Vikings. And basically I usually do my picks on Wednesday or Wednesday night, I suppose, but basically last the week of October 8th, week 6 was a pretty bad week. I only won 4 games and lost 10 games, and week 7 was so much better. I won 11 games and only lost 2 games, which was the Jacksonville and the Oakland game. I picked the Jaguars to beat the Raiders, and the other game was what was it? The Tennessee and Buffalo game. I picked the Bills to beat the Titans at home, and unfortunately, somehow or another, that didn't quite work out as well as I thought it would be. But in terms of NFL open dates, we're looking at open dates for Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Houston. And that's only about 4 teams, so there's only 14 games this week. So, trying to type up trying to look up some Vegas spreads for you all. So taking a look at some point spreads. For point spreads, basically I go on the website called ibtimes.com. I think they do a pretty good job on predicting the lines and such for the games and such, but So anyway, week 8 is kind of somewhat the middle of the season of the NFL season, And Thursday night's game, as I mentioned before, was you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Minnesota Vikings. And that game is the favorite in that game is the Minnesota Vikings by 6.5. And I am gonna take I do like the Buccaneers offense quite a bit. And I am not exactly quite sold on the Buccaneers defense, which their defense is their pass defense is 31st in the league, but their rush defense is 3rd in the league, and Minnesota's rushing offense is 7th in the league. So I don't know. I'm actually been leaning towards the Buccaneers in this one. I don't know. I think Christian Ponder has been somewhat pretty good overall since the season began, but he has been somewhat disappointing so far in the season. So I'll take the Buccaneers to upset the Vikings at home on Thursday night. And Jacksonville at Green Bay, unless Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, I don't think the Jaguars will lose this game. So I will take the Packers, and that line for that game is the Packers are favored by 13. I think the Packers will win by 10, I feel. So I will take the Packers in that one. Carolina at Chicago. The Bears are favored by 7.5 points. I will take the Bears, even though they had a pretty disappointing game, pretty close game against the Lions. And so I will take the Bears in that one. San Diego at Cleveland. The Chargers are favored by 3 against the Browns. And I know the Chargers had a pretty choking performance against the Broncos, but I think the Chargers will rebound in this game. I think Phillip Rivers will have a field day against the Browns secondary as well as their defense, but I do like San Diego in that one, so I will take the Chargers in that one. Seattle at Detroit. Let's see, the line for that one is Detroit is favored by 2.5. I will take the Seahawks in that game. I think Stafford has been pretty lackluster so far this season in terms of what happened last season. But I suppose the Lions' offense has been kind of good. I suppose, but I wouldn't count on the Lions out this season so far. I mean the Lions are 0-2 in the division, but I think Ooh. The Lions have been pretty disappointing so far this season, but I am going to take the Seahawks in this game. Jets are hosting the Dolphins of Miami, and that game, the Jets are favored by 2.5. I will take the Jets in this one. I think it's going to be a close game like a few weeks ago when the Jets traveled to Miami. But I don't think that game will get to overtime. I don't think. It's going to be a pretty close one, but I don't think it'll be that close. But Atlanta at Philadelphia. And that game is the Eagles are favored by 2.5. I will take the Atlanta Falcons in that game. I think Matt Ryan has slowed down a little bit in his pursuit of MVP. I think he'll have a pretty good day, I feel. I don't know. I'm starting to second guess this one. I'll take the Falcons to beat the Eagles at home at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. Pittsburgh is hosting the Redskins at home. And that line for that game is the Steelers are favored by 5 points in that game. I don't see any reason why not to pick the. I'll take the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers are starting to get a little bit of some of a consistency in this one. I think the Steelers will come up big on this one. So I will take the Steelers in that one. The New York Giants will be traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, and unlike the first matchup of the season, which was opening night at New Meadowlands Stadium, the Cowboys beat that one. But I think the Giants will get the win in this one. And see the line for this one. The Giants are favored by 1 point against the Cowboys. I think the Giants' defense has proven themselves worthy, despite a pretty decent performance against the Redskins. So I will take. I'll take the Giants to beat the Cowboys. And let's see, did I miss any games? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. New England will be on the road against the Rams, and the line for that game is New England is favored by 7 points. I think the Rams are a pretty good team, but I think the Patriots will have a better performance this week than last week. So I will take the Patriots in that one. See, Indianapolis at Tennessee. The Titans are favored by 3.5. I will. I'll take the Colts. I'll take the Colts in this one. Actually, I might take the Titans in this one. I think Matt Hasselbeck has been a pretty good quarterback. I'm not really sold on that much on the Titans defense, so I will take the Titans in this one. The Sunday night football game. The Saints will be traveling to Mile High Stadium. I know it's something else in Denver, but I've always liked to call it. Mile High Stadium. Anyway, the Saints and this one are the underdog, and Denver is favored to win by 6 points according to the spread. I will take the Broncos in this one. I think Peyton Manning is starting to get a little bit of a consistency streak, I suppose, but so I will take the Broncos in that one. And for the Monday night football game, the Monday night football game looks pretty good of a matchup. You have the 49ers going into Arizona, and the 49ers are favored by 6.5. And I will take the 49ers in this one. I know the 49ers didn't have that much of a good performance against the Seahawks last week, but so I will take the 49ers in this one. So, in terms of this topic, I'm pretty much done with it. So, hopefully I will do pretty good this week in terms of last week. So hopefully I can continue with the stroke of luck that I've had this week than I had last week, which was 11-2. So in terms of a new episode of this podcast, I will be probably doing another one sometime, maybe next week or so. So, thank you once again for listening to the first episode of the Tom Retro Chronicle. And I will see you all next week. So, thanks for listening. Peace.